Our guest today is Lambros Fotos. Lambros is the head coach at United Township High School. He wrestled at United Township, where he was a 4-time state medalist and an Illinois high school state champion before wrestling at the University of Illinois. Lambros, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Glad to be here.
How are you staying busy these days? What are you up to with COVID going on still?
You know what? The past 6 months have just been so different. Usually I've been used to being busy with guys getting involved in freestyle and getting them in the weight room running and wrestling a few times a week. And I don't know, with that being gone, these last 6 months have just flown by. So kind of just stuck doing what we're limited to do right now in this situation in Illinois. So it's been real slow.
So, Coach, just from your intro, we know that you've had a very successful wrestling career, went on to Illinois to wrestle. Can you tell us about the start, how you get started in the wrestling, or was it in the family?
Yeah. It actually started out with I'm the youngest of 3 brothers. So my oldest brother, John, he started when he was in junior high, and then me and my brother Paris kind of followed him right after that. We started with the East Moline Wrestling Club, and what it was back then, it was basically for just 1 month or 6 weeks, you go up to the high school, and it's just a little clinic, and you may go to a tournament. And I was 6 years old when I started, and that was it. Just went to practice for a month, maybe a tournament, and that was it for the first few years. But then I got hooked and obviously, got into it a lot more.
At what point did you find yourself having success? Did you start out doing pretty well, or was that sort of a process?
You know what? Starting off, I think when kids begin wrestling when they're in grade school, I think their success has a big impact on their early success has a big impact on how they take it on. I was successful, but I'd lose matches. And then it was like when I was in 5th grade, I know that there was a change. It was a time when if I lost, I was more than pissed off. I'd do something about it the next day, and I was more determined. And after the 5th grade, I didn't lose a match for the rest of middle school or junior high. IKWF was a very competitive, tournament, and to be competitive in it, that was my goal. And I was very driven from a young age because the people in our area, Bam Postelnick just became coach at UT. So I'm a little guy just learning about all this stuff and how tough wrestling was here in East Moline. And then right down the road, Moline wins a high school state title. And me being kind of a cocky kid that wants to prove himself, it just drove me to want to do more and more and more. So I started branching out and competing, across the state, and then region and national. So that was the difference maker for me personally.
Yeah. Did you get into wrestling a lot of off-season stuff, freestyle and Greco at all?
Yeah. I think that heck, I enjoyed freestyle a lot more than folk style. It was fun. Usually you see the better wrestlers, in the country compete in it, and to me, heck, that's what I did all spring and summer. And heck, we didn't have no clubs or anything nothing like there is today. So, our spring and summer would consist of finding a high school whose room we could get in or break into, and guys from all over the area, Iowa side and Illinois side, would drive from 45 minutes away because they knew Monday night we're wrestling here. Wednesday night we're wrestling here, and we were just competitive that way. And it would just be, let's get down and wrestle. So that's what kind of sparked me into taking wrestling seriously and becoming more competitive is every practice and workout was a competition, and you always had to prove yourself every day. So
Sure.
that's
cool.
how I got my start.
Who were some of the wrestlers that maybe you looked up to or like were role models early on in your career?
You know what? I always consider myself a student of the sport. So even when I was a kid, I'd look at, I look at the people who are having success. So, 4 years older than me in my brother's class, from Olean's Matt Lackey. Matt Lackey was, an outstanding example to look at. But then, they were just, so many tough wrestlers in our area. And all I saw myself doing is, I need to compete at this level, or I need to do more than this. I think having people like that around and good programs and individuals like that really teaches you a good work ethic. So it basically taught me how to push myself harder. And that's where I got my roots and, where I took wrestling in seriously. I had lots of good examples.
Yeah, that's very helpful. I know that I've heard it in business and in life and everything, really. It's like if you look for somebody who's done what you want to do and then model yourself after them, it's sort of a simple equation, but it takes a lot of discipline, obviously. It takes a lot of motivation to do that. But
Oh yeah. I mean, it's your own thing. Heck, I mentioned to you middle school, like fifth grade was a changing point. When fifth grade, once school was done, I'd run to a high school practice and I'd work out with high school wrestlers. I'd run 3 miles to that practice. Then once that practice got done, I had to make sure that during that practice, I beat up whatever high school kid I was wrestling or their varsity starters. I had to take them all out. I'd jump up 10, 20 pounds if I had to. And when practice was done, I'd run back home. And that was the routine since sixth grade throughout middle school. And it is not just seeing those people on the mat. It was being in the practices with them and going up against them. And I think that's what I mean by the competitive environment. That's what really sprung me off into wrestling.
Hey, Coach, you had mentioned Coach Bam. You're fortunate enough to have a pretty good, solid high school coach that had international experience, too. What was it like wrestling for him? And, what a great opportunity with that.
Yeah, you know what? Bam, wrestling for Bam, number one, he was a really good coach. And as a wrestler then, starting off in high school, knowing that you have someone that has been there, done it, has been successful, it gave you a sense of ease and comfort. When you start competing at a higher and higher level, keeping your cool and being confident at the same time is an important key to, doing well. And Bam offered that. And, he wouldn't have to do anything special. He would never have to give me any, motivational speeches because he knew how hard I worked. He pushed me to work hard in practice. But it was just when we were there to compete, it's that, okay, all right, everything's nice, cool. And, it was covering having someone in my corner that not just cared, but, pushed us hard. And when it was time to go, he just, all right, just go to work. You wouldn't have to say much.
Now you two are working together, right?
Yeah, he's my boss.
He never left that role, huh?
Yep. He's the athletic director at UT. Yeah, he's doing well there.
So, Coach, how has the sport of wrestling evolved or changed since you were a wrestler? I know you were kind of a pioneer in setting that work ethic for a lot of the other wrestlers, but what have you seen change in the sport since you wrestled?
You know what? I mean, some things have changed. I'll just say certain styles have changed. people try to be a little more fancy and try to have a little more finesse. When, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it was more about, you know what, I'm going to be pounding you in your face and dominate you. So, I mean, to me, it's not much different. It's just how people, people approach it. You see more people trying to wrestle on top today and trying to be slick and, turns and tilts and all this stuff. Heck, back when I wrestled, I was all on my feet. You know what? I'm going to dominate you on my feet. I'm going to wear you down, and then when you lose all hope in the match, then I'm going to pin you. I'm not going to waste my time riding. That was my attitude then. I wish I did learn how to ride more, but no, it's just changed. I think people try to use a little more technique. People aren't as aggressive anymore, but the top tier kids, I mean, they're talented and they're flashy. And you see a lot less. I'm gonna, a lot less pounding and brawling and hand fighting, and it's more tactical, I'll say today.
Sure.
Now, you guys agree with that or what? That's what I've been seeing.
Yeah, I do. I think that growing up in Iowa, a lot of us, we're all Iowa fans, and back when Gable was around, it was always, pound, 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 beat the crap out of your opponent, like a literal brawl a lot of the time. And now you see the kids like Penn State. The Penn State's been kind of dominant over the last, what have they won 8 out of the last 9 or something like that NCAA titles, and they're a lot more finesse, man. They're not really brawling ever. They're
tech ball machines.
Yep.
They're going to get on top, tilt the hell out of you, cradle you. But, yeah, I mean, it's just changed in that way. But one thing that you see in wrestling is a lot of the stuff used back in the day is returning. Like, you mentioned Penn State. I've never seen so many darn cradles used in my life.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the cradle's back.
Yep.
And when I was wrestling, nobody got cradled. Nobody. And, it comes back and forth a little bit. But, yeah, Iowa Public Television, Iowa, yeah, when I was a kid growing up, every single day we'd be on there watching it, and that's what you would see, that Iowa style. You know what? I'm going to dominate you on my feet, pound you down, make you give up. And I kind of adapted some of that into my wrestling growing up. I think everyone around here did that.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask, Coach, you're the most decorated wrestler in your high school history. What was it like having all that success and then returning to coach in your alma mater? That's a pretty cool deal.
Well, you know what? I came back to the Quad Cities and to UT because I love the place. I love the area. My family's here, and the one thing I'll just mention is when I was wrestling in high school here, we were very tough as an area. Not just UT, but like when I was coming up through middle school and high school, Moline was the dominant force. All right, Todd Rosenthal, once he left UT as an assistant coach and took the Moline head coach job, they eventually won 10, or I can't remember how many conference titles in a row, and always had state qualifiers and medalists. My senior year, we finally broke that cycle, and UT actually won the conference here. Our team started to get tougher, and then ever since then, it's been going in spurts. One school will have it for 5 or 6 years and just kind of see it different. I came back because I want to see UT succeed. We have hard-nosed. We've always had hard-nosed kids, and I love this. I love this place. So that was the biggest reason why I came back to UT. And I've had the privilege of coaching many guys, but one thing with our area is, heck, like, it's been such a challenge kind of keep a program and keep everyone online, and it's been a lot of ups and downs. So it's I face coaching as just that challenge. All right, I need to see what I can do. It's just like competing. See what I can do to improve it, and see what I can do to get our boys back on top.
Sure. Well, I know. So I am trying to familiarize myself more, and I will definitely over the, in the future. But with Illinois high school wrestling, it seems to me like the conference, or I know the conference Western Big Six is tough, but also the sectionals and is it sectionals and then regionals?
It's regionals and then sectionals and then state.
Yeah. It just seems like that is such a tough, like getting to state in Illinois seems like a pretty darn tough task.
You know what? It's been a monster. I think the worst thing Illinois did was switch to 3 classes. Because what it did, I mean, heck, UT's been in a situation where we've always bounced from 2A to 3A, back and forth. And when we'd be competing in 3A, our regionals would have teams from over 2 hours away, 2.5 hours away. Sure. And heck, it's these teams, and you're all competing just to qualify for sectionals. In sectionals, we'd compete down south near St. Louis, and you'd have teams from Chicagoland coming down there. There'd be 3 regionals from Chicagoland coming down there in the Quad Cities. So, it just made it, I'll say it just makes it tougher getting there. And, yeah, it was hard. But, oh, well, if you're the best, you're going to win.
Sure. Yep. Yep.
Hey, Coach, you've had a unique opportunity in life through wrestling. So who was the most influential coach or mentor that you ever had, and why?
You know what? That's a tough question. I've come across so many people from when I was a kid, high school. I was a wrestling room rat. So, in the spring, summers, I'd head off. I try to go visit buddies who are, that's when overtime was going on. I spent one spring break going to visit friends just because I wanted to be around Sean Bourmet. I hear he's got a great thing going on. I never knew who he was. And you know what? I want to check it out. So I'm taking a week off of school, and I'm going to go wrestle up there. At the University of Illinois. There were so many great coaches. Mark Johnson is one of the most outstanding, remarkable people that I respect that I've come across. And our assistants we had there, Jim Heffernan, Carl Perry, Jeremy Hunter. I mean, all these guys, I was in the room with on a regular basis. I would try to take as much from them as I could, and you can't narrow it down. I mean, you have Olympians, you have world team members, you have national champs. So, I don't know, they all had their unique experience. I can't narrow down a single person because it's just too many people have been involved with my wrestling. So
I love it. Hey, one other question. This is just talking to someone who went to the collegiate, Big Ten, highest level you can. What was it like, the transition, going from high school to college, but also you guys were looked at like, rock stars, basically. Any Big Ten wrestler is the top of the top. So what was that like even?
Well, when I got to Illinois, Illinois started coming on the way up. So they started making some noise in not just the Big Ten, but in nationals. They started getting a couple, few more All-Americans each year, some national champions. And even in 2005, my second year down there, we won the Big Ten title. And you know what? I mean, competing at that level, I'll just say it was a very unique experience just being involved in the program then. because you saw what it took in the room. You saw what it took in the weight room. And just the discipline that it took to compete at that level. And I don't know. I can't explain it. I myself, when I got to college, I had high hopes, but, I had some bad luck. As soon as I got to Illinois, my redshirt year, I tear my ACL. And then I tear my ACL on the other leg the following year. Altogether, I tore 3 ACLs 3 years in a row.
Man.
So I never got the chance to compete, and it killed me at the time because I knew how special of a program Illinois was, and I thought I had I wanted to see what I could do with myself and what the opportunity. But still, without wrestling, without being able to compete like I wanted to, it was a hell of an experience just being around everything in a program like that.
What advice do you have for high school wrestlers who would like to wrestle in college?
You know what? The best advice I can give, I'll just relate it to myself. So, everyone's different. I always thought of myself as being that hungry type of competitor. I always wanted to challenge myself, and if there's someone who's supposed to be the big dog in town, I want to go take them down. I want to go take them out. You got to have that competitive spirit. I think that's the most important thing, that the competitive spirit. You gotta want to compete. You got to have a drive or some motivation to excel. All right. The second thing, you got to work harder than anything else. You got to be crazy. You can't be normal. If I'm in a wrestling club and I'm just doing the same stuff that every other kid's in there, I'm not going to go to a D1 college. I got to go above and beyond. All right. I got to increase my training on my own at home and the gym, and when it comes to wrestling, start ramping up the bar. Wrestle with guys who are in college right now. Wrestle with D1 guys that are in college now. Start getting used to that different style and have yourself ready to get after it when it's time. That's the best advice I can give. Don't do what everyone else is doing. Go above and beyond that.
Coach, you just mentioned, in college you had, 3 torn ACLs through that process. What would you see as your biggest obstacle you have had to overcome as a wrestler or as a coach?
I'd say as a wrestler, it was dealing with those injuries. Because as soon as I got injured the first time, I'm like, all right, no problem, I'll be right back. Then it happened the following season, right before the season started, competition, and it was just a bummer. I was so let down. All that drive kind of came down, and it was just difficult to deal with. And then I finally deal with another 6 months of rehab, and I'm ready to go, and it happens the third time. And that was the hardest thing I had to deal with, is just that letdown of not losing, but just not being able to compete. So the one thing I wish I could give myself some advice back then was, I needed to keep a better level head and step back and know a bigger, see the big picture, and I should have trained smarter. I should have rehabbed better, smarter, and it was just disappointing I couldn't compete in college. As a coach, when I first came in here, heck, I was young and on fire. We're going to kick everyone's butt. And heck, I had too much energy. All right, everything was about intensity. If you're not intense enough, then you know what? I'm going to push you harder. And that was the wrong attitude. It took me a few years to actually learn how to coach. Everyone's different, and how to actually get them to peak. And yeah, it's a totally different game, coaching versus competing. So you can't approach it with the same mindset. That's one thing I've learned. And it took me a few years. So
there's a learning curve, I'm sure.
Yeah.
If you could, Coach, tell us a little bit about this past season, and then sort of what the team's looking like, the kids coming back for next year, or for not next year, I guess, for hopefully
this season. Yeah. You know what, our team. I'll start off with last season. We had several freshmen and guys who were very green that we had to force in our varsity lineup. In our lower weights and middle weights, we just didn't have our numbers. Our numbers were stacked up top, and we had a lot of juniors on our team. This year, it's a good thing. We're going to have 10 seniors. Now, most of those seniors don't have much experience. Like they got 3 years or 4 years experience, but heck, right now they've actually hit that hump where they'll be more competitive and successful in dual meets. And I'd say our number one guy right now coming back is our heavyweight, Simon Wilson. He, last season he kind of fell a little short there at the end. Just head games got with him, towards the postseason, and just had a bad weekend. Didn't advance to sectionals, but everyone down there at the state tournament he's competed with and he's beaten before,
sure.
or he's kept tight matches with. So, he's got a lot of promise and he's been working his butt off. We got several other kids that I think are going to prove themselves and hit a jump and start becoming pretty competitive guys in conference in the area, and hopefully we can get them out of regionals. So I'm looking forward to that. I see that as that's my challenge for the year. I want to get them all to get a move on and advance as far as they can.
Sure. I know Simon. So Simon does a little bit of training at Young Guns, and he was on a team my son wrestled in Virginia Beach maybe like 2 seasons ago, something like that.
Yeah,
he's fun to watch, man. He's a goer for sure.
Yeah, he's goofy. He's a good kid. You know what? He's the nicest kid, and just this past year, I'll tell you one big difference maker with Simon. Going to Virginia Beach was a change. That's the first time he actually did something outside of the regular season in high school.
Sure.
And then last year he started competing freestyle, and he made the cadet freestyle team. And he went to Fargo. He wrestled freestyle and Greco. Was a match away from All-American in both.
Wow.
But just that experience alone totally changed his confidence. And last season, he started off on a tear. And, hopefully we could take this season and he could finish it off at the end of the season. So
sure.
Makes a big difference.
Absolutely. That's great. With the current situation going on with COVID, wanted to ask, especially, I guess, being in Illinois I know that Illinois is still pretty locked down. What advice do you have for wrestlers just kind of making sure they're ready for the upcoming season?
All right. Always expect there's going to be a season. All right. Don't just think about it. It's going to happen. Get yourselves ready. All right. Whether it's in the wrestling room, you know what? You need to be working out every day. All right. Because the season's going to be approaching. There's no football in Illinois. The only sport going on, boys sport going on, is I believe golf and cross country. So the majority of wrestlers aren't involved in those sports. You know what? Start training now. Get your mindset. Get in the best shape you can be in. Get your diet right so when season time comes, because it's going to be a little shorter than the regular season, you're ready to go. And you got to just bust your butt. Get in the wrestling room. Get on the road. Start running. Get in the gym. All right? Nothing should change your routine.
I love that answer. Life's going to continue on, Coach, and we will have wrestling back again.
Fingers crossed, man.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, Coach, we've reached this point. I don't know if you've ever seen our episodes before, but it's called OT Sudden Death Questions. A lot of these have nothing to do with wrestling, and some, it edges on it. So We're going to hit you with all different angles here in OT, okay?
Gotcha.
All right. How about the favorite wrestling movie, Coach?
I only know one, Vision Quest. Is there any other movie than Vision Quest?
We've learned that there's a lot out there since we started doing these podcasts. So we'll get you a list later.
Absolutely, Vision Quest, no doubt.
Favorite superhero?
Superman. He's the
Favorite
best.
wrestling. Oh, sorry. Favorite wrestling match of all time?
I would say, Ironside and Kerry Colott dual meet at Carver Hawkeye. Ironside broke him. Colott was supposed to sweep the mat with him. And that's when Ironside kind of just, took command of the season.
Yep, that was a great one. Greatest U.S. Olympic wrestler of all time?
You got to say JB, Jordan Burroughs. My favorite growing up was always Johnny Smith. All right, but Jordan Burroughs has been doing it just as long, if not longer, and he's been the face of USA Wrestling for over a decade. So I gotta say JB.
All right, Coach. Favorite food, and when Rob and I jump on that side of the pond, where should we stop by to have lunch? Plug one of your local restaurants.
Favorite food is obviously a steak. All right. Now, favorite spot to eat? Heck, there's so many. I gotta. If I say anything else other than this answer, because my buddy owns this spot, he'll kill me. So I'll say the Dachshund and Silvis. Get yourself a gyro or burger there. Best burgers in this side of town.
In Silvis, right?
Yep.
All right, we'll visit.
Yep, for sure. Yep. Favorite wrestling style?
Offensive. Just keep the offense moving. Offense is the best defense. Just score points.
Favorite football team, Coach?
The Bears.
The Bears.
I'm a loyal Illinois guy. I Chicago everything, Illinois everything, Illini fan. Yeah.
He sounded like a true Chicago guy with that answer too, didn't he?
Yeah, well, not too far away.
Yep. Cubs or White Sox?
Cubs.
All right.
White Sox, those people are too angry. They're pissed off at everything, so it's better to be a Cubs fan.
Sure.
How about your favorite vacation destination, Coach?
What's that?
Favorite vacation destination?
You know what? My family's from Greece. I went last summer, and it's my favorite spot I've been to. So I'd definitely say Greece.
Awesome. What is your favorite quote?
Favorite quote? You know what? I used to keep like a list and write these things down when I was younger. Right? That was one thing I did, especially in high school. The one thing I'd say about quotes is they give you lots of motivation, but you don't need a quote to inspire you. All right? A good kick in the butt can be inspirational too, or looking at something. So, like my favorite quote, I'm just brain dead, man. And you know what? I actually take time every season and I write quotes down. And I post them up in our wrestling room and everything. So yeah.
Awesome.
I'm just not there.
Well, I like where you took it, Coach, where you said if you're not living out the quote, it's just words on the wall, right? So get out there, have someone kick you in the butt if you need that inspiration, but get out there and wrestle, right?
Absolutely. That's how we all grew up, right? That's what wrestling's been about for most of us.
Well, Coach, we really appreciate your time. We'll definitely keep up with you and look forward to watching the Panthers come this upcoming season.
Yeah, I hope our guys can make some noise and we have a successful season. And I hope there's some things for you guys to look at East Moline.
Love it. Appreciate it, Coach. Thank you. All right. Thank you for tuning in. Please share this podcast with your friends. Give us a like and a follow on Facebook and Twitter at QCA Wrestle. And keep an eye out for more QCA wrestling content coming soon.